Tēnā tātou e te whare. Anei rā te mihi ki a koutou katoa, ko tau mai mātou I roto I tēnei whare, ko tēnei te mihi ki a koutou katoa. Māku I timata tō tātou nei huihuinga, I roto I tēnei wāhi, it's in the ballot. Māku I timata tō tātou nei whakamoemiti. Me noi tātou. I te manga I ngāne herepuro, e te tokotori tapu. Kia tatu mai anō no koutou kei wainganui I tēnei whakamoemiti o mātou. Hei tātari ngā kupu katoa, e whakapua kina ne mātou, roto I tō koutou kororiatanga. Ko koutou nei hoki te tīmatanga me te whakotinga, mai o mātou I tumanako atu nei, roto I tō koutou kororiatanga, o reire te manga e tautoko mai, ai nei, ākini, ai. Kia ora.
Okay, good evening. These candidates here are vying for your first preference vote on why they should be your next councillor. But with every election, there's one thing stepping in their way, and that's your vote.
That's Paul.
That's right.
Not right.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's It's in the Ballot show here live from the Tauranga Bridge Club here in the Matua-Otūmoetai Ward. And I hope everyone's going well tonight and getting everything all ready there. I would like to introduce it's unusual to have a second person in here, but Brodie's getting ready for the Te Awanui Ward show in 2 nights' time. I'm going to be giving him the keys, but we thought we'd give him the old plates here tonight. How's it going?
Very well, thank you, Sam. Good everybody, I'll introduce myself. Ko Brodie Tōprenua, Brodie's my name. No Kōtiranga, Airangi me Ingarangi o Tupuna. My ancestors hailed from England, Ireland and Scotland, and I'm proud to say I'm born here in Tauranga Moana, beautiful Bay of Plenty. And like Sam said, I'm getting the keys tomorrow night, so he's giving me a bit of a test. Thursday night rather. Come along to 7 PM, our Te Awanui Māori Ward show at Te Wharikoroa Mauao in Bethlehem, and I'm proud to be alongside the bro here tonight, helping to bring Otūmoetai Matua Ward to life. How exciting! How long have we wanted another elected to council? Too long. Who are the people who are going to bring us back there?
Let's kick off from this end. Was it name of who they are, and you'll need the microphone.
I'll check thing again. I turned off the other night and it's better. I'll have a look. Nice question, Mike.
Hello, I'm Susie Edmonds.
Hello, I'm Zach Reader.
Hello, I'm Kim Pritchard.
Good, I'm Glenn Crowder.
Hi, I'm Mike Raymer.
Good evening, I'm David Webb.
Too many microphones together.
Difficulties here. I'm Tanya Bamford-King.
A nice question is
Evening, my name is David.
off, so it's not that sure what it is.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko kaisi piki ngā tōku.
Okay, thank you for that. Now let's get ready for opening statements. Tanya, you are alphabetically first. Let's kick off. If you want to, you're welcome to do so. This cameraman ain't quite so fussy.
tethered.
I'm sorry, I can be blamed for that just before.
Never mind, I will remain tethered.
You can start to go back again, and you can contribute to our internet connection failure by the tangling of the web of things in there. It's more than just one off. But let's get moving.
We're all tethered now, we're free. We'd love to hear from you again.
I love being free. Love it. Kia ora, I'm Tanya and I'm running for Mayor and for Councillor for the Matua-Otūmoetai Ward. So 1 and 1 for me. Okay, so I grew up in the Bay. I went to university at Waikato and then I wandered off to the Big Smoke and overseas for a corporate career. In 1998, we came back to the Bay, to Tauranga, and bought our very first small business. That was Harrington's Nightclub. We brought up our small family here, and we've been part of the Tauranga community ever since. And we have watched Tauranga grow from a small seaside retirement village to an emerging, vibrant city. And it is a city. It's a vibrant city. But we still identify just a little bit as a quite large small town in New Zealand. And that is a problem. Small town New Zealand does not scale up. So what I would really like to achieve this time around is to get Tauranga to find its identity as a city. Is that my buzzer?
Yes, that's your buzzer.
Who's next?
That's all right. I don't have a Ronald's here. No, so it would be Glenn.
Yeah, thank you. I grew up here in Matua-Otūmoetai, been involved in a number of community organisations. Oh, can you? Right, okay. That's really different. I'll say again. I grew up in Matua-Otūmoetai. I've been involved in a number of local community organisations. I've worked for a regional manager of a business network, and in recent times with Sustainable Bay Community Trust. So I've done a lot with councils. Council does some great things. In recent times, what I've observed is that the council has had some real challenges around sustainability, around the sustainability of our growth agenda in particular. There have been a number of consultations that I think were quite biased, and these need to be transparent and unbiased discussions with our community that can't afford to have predetermined agendas. So for me, this has raised a lot of questions. I've got involved with a lot of community networks and been persuaded to run for council. And my goal here is to try and become more community focused, to do things that are actually responding to the needs of our community rather than to what the desires are of a relatively small group of developers who are pushing this agenda.
Okay, next up, Susie.
Hello, I'm Susie Edmonds, and I've lived in Tauranga since 1982. We came up from Wanganui back in the day, and I had 6 years away from Tauranga when I lived in Auckland, and I lived in Dunedin and Hamilton in those 6 years. So that's my little bit of experience out of Tauranga. I have been, ever since probably my children went off to school, a community advocate, or even before that, on the kindergarten committees and things. So my reason for standing for council has been in relation to the community not being heard, and projects that have been pushed through council that don't get any consultation. And it's interesting to hear that we've had the commissioners say that they consulted. Well, we all know they didn't consult over the Otumoetai pool, and we all know they haven't consulted well over the Memorial Park Product Centre and a number of other things. So my stance is to stand up for people, to do investigations, So that's what I like to do, to get to the bottom of the facts and the truth. Thank you.
Okay, Kim, right next.
Also to
So last minute microphone switching around.
Hi, I'm Cam Holden, and I'm running because I believe Tauranga has a positive future, and I want to help build that future. So to me, that's more than just the facilities and infrastructure that the city needs, but it's also building a strong sense of community. So I want to work as part of a collaborative team that shares that vision, and I want that team to be something that I want them to develop solutions rather than just point out problems. The city's growing, and we need to balance that growth with a fiscal responsibility. So the new council will have the long-term plan to guide its deliverables, but they will need to ensure that they develop that plan so that it continues to meet the needs of the city, represents value for money, and is aligned with what the people of Tauranga have asked for. So if we can deliver that vision, then I believe we can elevate Tauranga to be the best city in New Zealand to live, work, play and visit.
Okay, and I just want to confirm Jim's not here, followed by Ken. Then that makes it to Basie.
Good everyone, my name is Matua-Otūmoetai, if you didn't catch it the first time. I'm standing in this ward because, in the Matua-Otūmoetai Ward, because I am a father of 6, my wife and I have 6 children. We have 2 more, which are grandchildren as well. We need to pave the way for our future, and I'm here to shake the tree and get rid of any cobwebs that may be still around. So all I can do is bring my best. I'm not going to promise anything. All I can do is bring my best. So, kia ora everyone.
Kia ora, Basie, thank you. At this time, it's tēnā koe Timby.
Kia ora everybody, my name is Timby. For the last 2 years I've been operating in Ukraine, working in Ukraine, delivering humanitarian and medical aid to frontline villages and people who are in dire need. As many of you know in this room, in 2019 I ran for mayor to break a stranglehold on a city which is, or was, 20 plus years behind. And while the catalyst didn't survive the chemistry has mostly been proven to be exactly as we have needed. I encourage you to understand what the commissioners have done. And some of you will remember that during my resignation speech, I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer, and I said that if commissioners are appointed, and if they are the right people, this will mark the date. The history will mark the date when Tauranga actually goes ahead properly. We are away, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't stop the progress. You will find that 70+% of the candidates are here to stop the progress. We must manage it fiscally with a lot of prudency, and we must understand the vision for the city. But we have an opportunity to take our city forward, to create a city for all.
Okay, Kim.
Kia ora, everyone.
No one can hear you at home.
Oh, good. Hopefully you can see me today.
They still can't hear you at home.
There were so many problems with the mic, I thought I might try it without it.
Oh, but they still can't hear you at home without it.
Well, at least I can hear. I'm standing for the role of council because I would like to help form a collaborative council. I firmly believe in the democratic process and have seen myself that a majority decision works best in the long run. Different perspectives can lead to modifications that will be for the betterment of a project. I am standing as an independent candidate. I want to promote a vibrant, tolerant city, celebrating our diversity and looking forward to future exciting endeavours. Investing in our future is not just about growing business, but a community that works together. And recent devastating events have shown us the importance of this stance. I'd like to see Tauranga promoted as a hub for the blue economy, which features on marine bioindustry and bioproducts. We're already a hub for the green industry, so horticultural products, and jobs and business will follow from this stance. I look forward to hopefully getting the vote. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Rayner. I grew up here, then served in the military for some years, and then I went overseas travelling for what was supposed to be 9 months, turned into 11 years, doing a few things around the world. I came back here because it is the best place to raise a family, which is what I'm doing now, about 2 years. I've previously stood on community boards. I've got projects across the line and under budget. I'm standing out of a desire to see our city move forward as Timby had his vision, but I would like us to make a clean break from our past. We've got a lot of troubles, we've got a lot of baggage. I believe we need to move forwards from that, and I think the way to do that is to have new people, fresh ideas, different people there. I'm going to be a voice for the preservation of the Otūmoetai Pool, Tauranga Golf Course, Tauranga Race Course and Bay Park Speedway, and I would seek to reverse and overturn any decisions to have those facilities removed. The reason is that a lot of these facilities have been made by the hard work of volunteers. Thank you.
Tēnā koe mō tēnā, Mike. Thank you for that. Next up, Zach, please.
Hello, I'm Zach. I was born in Tauranga and I've grown up here my entire life. At 5 years old, my mum threw me into swimming lessons at the Otūmoetai Pool, where I ended up eventually becoming a competitive swimmer and didn't do too bad out of it. I won a couple of national medals, which I was pretty happy with. Even moved into surf lifesaving and same there, where I am now member of the Western Bay Clinic Search and Rescue Squad, and I dedicate a lot of my time to helping save members of our community. I decided to run originally because of the swimming pool being closed down, and I don't want to see our youth being put at risk of having their lives put at risk in the future. I've also seen plenty of youth crime, starting to increase in our community, and we need to have a community that helps guide our youth so they can be upstanding members of society in the future. At the end of the day, I want to put the city first, and not just the youth, but the rest of the citizens first as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. How inspiring to see one of our young people step into the hot seat. Acknowledge you for that. And we'd love to hear now from you, David.
And it's two of them, so we'll go with David Tank as your first.
David Tank it is.
Is it working? Yes, it is.
Hello everyone, my name is David Tank. I'm a Matua boy raised from 71 through, did the whole whack, went overseas, came back, been home 12 years. I've been involved in politics at various levels and activism my whole life. I'm a firm believer in the move from a carbon-based economy to an electric one. There are two issues that I wish to raise in this opening bit. I'd like to see a land assembly register started by the council so that homeowners in the areas suited for densification will have an opportunity to put themselves forward and perhaps reap some of the benefit of the growth of the city by higher prices for their property when they choose to sell it and retire. And secondly, I spend a lot of time walking this town and taking the buses, and I think all of us, when we stop and look, could agree on a citywide campaign of water blasting. The place is dirty and it needs a clean. Thank you.
And now David Webb.
My association with Tauranga began when my grandparents moved here in the 80s, and I have fond memories in the 90s when I remember something, from going down to Coolum Park and enjoying the facilities there. Now my 3 kids go to Coolum Park on their bikes, and we're very happy to live in a wonderful place. So what I hear from people in the community is that we need a functional council. So to me, that means having a common consensus across council about what we're trying to do and why, which begins from listening to the community, but also listening to the evidence on any given decision. And if you can build consensus based on that foundation, then you're likely to have a more productive discussion in council. So I bring skills as a recovering lawyer, but the last 10 years I've been in small business, tech companies and startups and so on. So I bring both the legal and the science, hence the interest and evidence. So hopefully tonight we'll learn lots about these great candidates. It's great to have democracy back and to have so many people running. Gives us good choice as a community, but hopefully we get people who can represent everybody. Thank you.
And now here's off to one of my more interesting segments. We get to the questions we think you'll be asking after watching tonight's show. Let's bring it up. Will New Zealand's first Hyperloop be coming to Tauranga to get swimmers from the Matua-Otūmoetai Park New Aquatic Centre?
How many iterations will it take before we know who got more than 50% of the vote to become the new Matua-Otūmoetai Councilor?
And described by some as a debacle, will tonight's be such a raging success that will be the talk of the town?
The talk of the town, or at least the ward.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So I'd like to introduce our question host, Erica Harvey, who's all the way on the other end. There's so many candidates in there. I feel like, what do you call it? I'm going to have to drive down to get to you.
I actually like being on this side for a change, so it's really good.
Yeah. So all the boxes are sealed?
Sealed and ready.
Okay. So here's how things work here is each candidate gets to choose a box number and they're going to answer the question in the box. Each candidate gets given 2 button cards. If another candidate gets a box in the question they want to sit there and answer, maximum 2 button cards per round. And if they get a question that they do not want, they can use the deferred card to give it to another candidate. And Zach, you get to go
I'm
up
not too sure what I can do about that.
The what box number, and you'll need your microphone.
Box number 16.
16.
Drum roll. Just pause.
Yeah, folks. So our lovely question host, Erica, will read out the letter of the question, and that will cue Stacey down in the Wellington studio to run the right graphic for our audience watching at home. As soon as our Sky Magic comes back to the party.
Stacey, is that back in order? Okay, sweet. Kick off. I was waiting for Stacey.
This is question I. It's yes or no, Zach. Do you support the establishment of multi-wards? Do you support the Treaty of Waitangi, and why?
No, I don't support having Māori wards in our community. The reason is I feel like we have plenty of members, Māori members of our community that will be elected regardless of if they're standing against just Māori or against the rest of us. So I believe we're past needing a specific ward just for Māori to have their voice, but I absolutely believe that Māori deserve a voice on within our council. The Treaty of Waitangi, yes. It's a bit of a complex one. I've heard multiple different sides of it. I've heard that it's that we're so how to word this best. People have told me Treaty of Waitangi is dated. It's there's problems wrong with it. The Māori were deceived, and then I've heard other sides where the Treaty of Waitangi is essentially how New Zealand as a society we're based on. So I'm not against the Treaty of Waitangi, but I'm definitely for working with Māori to eventually come to an
Okay. David Webb, what box number?
Box number 23.
23. There we go.
All right. If you were elected into the council, this is question V, sorry. If you are elected into council, will you support the Tauranga Commissioner's strategy, direction, and long-term plan? It says yes or no.
I do have a minute, so I'm going to say more than yes or no. Well, I think there are some things we can trim. Again, I'm all about the evidence of a particular decision. What's the return? What's the benefit of a particular decision? What are the alternatives? So there are some things that we need to think quite carefully about. Is it good value for money? In general, I support the direction of the long-term plan and the commissioners. I think having a functional council able to deliver on that and keep adapting as we go means we can keep growing and moving forward as a city. So for me, yes, I do support the general direction. As I said, there are a few things I'm skeptical about. I think the Memorial Aquatic Centre, the downtown stadium, I've got big question marks about those. Maybe the convention centre as well seems a lot of money to invest in something which I haven't seen the business case play out to my satisfaction. But again, happy to work with the community to listen to the evidence on whether we should do this thing or that thing and to make a plan going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Up next, Tanya. Pick a number. Between 1 and 28.
I'll go for 28.
28. Letter Z. The previous council was not functional. What qualifications and what approach do you bring as a team player? Ideally, not your capabilities as a leader.
Okay. Right. Well, why should you put me on your council? Well, I've got those traditional skills that you get going to university and being part of a business and industry. So I'm fiscally competent and I've got excellent comprehension skills, and those are all really important. But the other thing I've done is I've run an arts business for 30 years, and I've learned the subtle and complex art of herding cats. And in fact, of being a cat and being herded. And these are the skills that I will take into council. A cohesive, flexible council that's open to diversity, that respects each other, and is able to sit down and listen or even seek out conflicting and different opinions without completely imploding. So what I bring to it is creativity, flexibility. I'm very goal-oriented, but perhaps more curious and open-minded than previous councils. Thank you.
Okay, Ken, what box number? We'll need Mike.
Box number 14.
Letter M, if TCC services won't service a property, should the property owner be able to have the bin charges removed from their rates and pay for their own service? How would you facilitate making this change?
Well, I thought this was quite an odd one because it seems pretty obvious to me, right? If you are paying for something and you're not getting the service, you shouldn't have to pay. So 100% support not having to pay if you don't get the service. And I think it should be a straightforward conversation with the TCC staff, potentially a policy change, but I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So pretty simple one.
I think you can. Pick a number, please, Stacey.
12, please.
Question number D. The most vibrant and successful cities on earth have grown societally and economically in part through abandoning concepts of homogeneous societies and embracing the diversity of our populations. Aotearoa, New Zealand has a population represented by over 1,500 ethnicities, cultures, and social identities. How would you grow Tauranga Moana through actively celebrating all people who call our city home?
So we must first introduce the concept in, I suppose, a span of days. So if we hold cultural days that celebrate these cultures, people will get more accustomed to this. So,
Oh, that's short, sharp, and sweet.
Right to the point.
I know, David Tank.
I think I do.
And we'll need a microphone so those at home can hear. The good mix section.
All right, this is question Y. What is your plan to reduce congestion and vehicle emissions?
Well, that's not a small one. I'm a total advocate for public transport and electric scooters and electric bicycles and bicycle paths. And I'm rather fond of the idea of a overhead cable car at the moment. The only place I could see it working would be sometime way in the future when we could run one from Tauranga over the mountain out to the airport. Mostly a tourist thing, I imagine. Congestion charges are obviously the flavour of the month they're worth looking at. And really, other than waiting for the next tranche of proper automatic robotic cars to turn up, I think that's about it.
Thank you, David. Up next, Kim. Please pick a number.
Box number 2.
For those
Box
at home.
number 2.
So we think great minds think alike.
I'm reading your box, I'm sorry. Got a bit dangerous with the box cutter.
It's all right, they only cost about $1 each.
All right, this question is question O. Oh. What alternative revenue streams can you suggest that the council explore to avoid raising rates by an even higher amount?
Thank you. You might have heard that I was actually hoping for this one. So, firstly, by not committing to developments without ensuring and having a clear vision as to how we will fund them. Secondly, by devoting a proportion of our revenue to retiring debt. We're carrying a huge amount of debt, and that's for past projects, let alone for future ones. This may result in some tightening of expenditure on future projects, but like everyone else, we should cut our cloth to fit. There are limited government funds available for development. Priorities should include developing priority opportunities for creating new businesses, especially in the blue economy, which I've already mentioned before. Partnerships with venture capitalists, priority 1, which is here in the Bay, Quayside Holdings and others in town can help us generate new revenue. Councillors need to choose widely where to invest our support, more importantly, your funding.
And we have a button from Timmy. Finally, someone got to use the card. I was wondering if they forgot they existed.
Funnily enough, on this question, I started a conversation with New Zealand NZ Super just today with their Director of International Investments. There are ways other than just raising rates that we should have explored when I was Mayor. We wanted to, for various reasons we didn't, and I won't go into that. I'm happy to discuss it after this. However, there are alternative options, and NZ Super, for example, invests all over the world. And as Adrian Orr said the other day when he was here in Tauranga, for those that went and saw him, he's now Governor of the Reserve Bank, of course, not the Chief Executive of NZ Super. During the Christchurch earthquake, no one asked him to go, and yet he was gagging to get Christchurch money, other than just imposing it through national government or on local rates. So there are some really viable alternatives that I sincerely hope this council explores with.
Thank you, Timby. And grinning through his button card, David Tang.
License fees. We can introduce a few licenses, new licenses. For example, I've long been an advocate for a license for property managers. A lot of the egregious behaviour that happens within the rental market come down to just not understanding the laws. Now, we haven't gone up at the central government level yet, but I've yet to have anyone explain to me that it's not something that can be imposed at local government. So a written test and a licence fee for being a property manager. Indeed, I'd prefer one to the landlords. I think they should have a far better understanding of their rights and obligations and responsibilities. So those are two revenue earners, potentially, and then of course the third is the land assembly, which of course is property amalgamation. Now, for people in the town, I couldn't imagine that we could provide such a service that would enable facilitating putting them together with property developers and amalgamating property, getting a better return on the property without them putting some money up, say $100 or $200 fee to do so. And of course, property developers interested in being involved in paying fee too. So there's three ideas right there. License fees. Thank you.
It feels like you've been speaking to my friend Keith Powell, who's a property manager down in Wellington, who wants the whole sector regulated, including dodgy landlords. Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. Timby, what box number?
Number one.
Oh, number one. Going back to the box cover. Letter P. How will you ensure that public spaces and facilities are accessible to everyone, including people with disabilities?
So this is a really important aspect, and if I look at our friends who have disabilities, including those who are visually impaired, we did do a lot of work engaging with those various groups last time. It needs to continue, but really in earnest. And you know, we are all part of the community, and we all need access to public spaces. And I have to say that I'm thrilled at how Coolum Park has ended up with a range of facilities, including looking at some of the people in this room today, and I include myself in this. For the older age group, there is an exercise area for those that haven't been to Coolum Park, and this is part of the engagement we need to continue with, but to really deliver things that make a difference to people's lives as part of our wider community.
It sounds like there's going to be more dots and lines for the cane to sit there and tell you where to cross the road at the pedestrian crossings. If anyone noticed why you have those little dots just for a pedestrian crossing, but that's a telltale sign about walking the road. Mike, what box number?
I'll go box number 8, thank you.
Number A. Or letter A.
For Alpha?
What political party are you linked to?
Well, that's a very easy one. I'm actually a member of the National Party of New Zealand. I have been for over a decade. Yeah. So, being I've got a little bit more time, I'd like to carry on with something else. There is a question about roading and transport in there, and suggesting that more roads equals more traffic. I would say tell that to the people who want to come in from Welcome Bay. Tell that to the people who live out Mokarawa. We need those roads built. We need more roads built, and the way we can do that is by persuading the government to designate some of those roads. 15th Avenue Turret Road that comes in as state highways, that unlocks a great deal more funding. It does not put that burden on our ratepayers. But we get the improved facilities without everyone here having to pay for it, because it benefits the wider society than just us as well. So I would like to see that go through, and I'll be an advocate for that. So we all need to get around our business.
Not touching the keyboard, only just touching the stream deck.
Appreciate your call, mate. Good use of your time. Good pivot there. Next, Zach, please pick us a number. Pick yourself a number.
Is number 7 still free?
Lucky number 7 is still free.
Awesome.
What's special about number 7?
It's my lucky number.
Fair enough.
It's a very long question. The letter is B for baby, which I just had one.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Is we filibustering?
On topic, please.
What? You had it already.
Yes.
Oh, this is similar but different? So do I read it?
Yes.
Okay. Aotearoa, New Zealand has a population represented by over 1,500 ethnicities, cultures, and social identities. Studies have shown that diverse and inclusive societies both increase well-being and economic growth. But this was the change. How would you actively improve Tauranga Moana's sense and celebration of its diverse society?
Yes, well, this is actually not too bad of a question. So I wouldn't, personally, I can't speak for 1,500 different ethnicities, and I can't speak for every single group out there. What I can do is, if I'm elected as a council member, I can go and talk to these groups and listen, because each different group is going to want a different way to celebrate their own cultures or their own beliefs. So the best thing we can do is just to listen and work out exactly what it is each group in our society actually wants to see within our community.
Okay. Sorry, me playing slots of it too. Glenn.
22 is. The letters G. Are you prepared to support unpopular but necessary levels of rate increases in order to ensure the financial viability of the council, instead of voting for lower rate increases in the interest of your own re-election prospects at the expense of future councils being able to fund infrastructure, maintenance, and upgrades?
Well, I guess I'll start by saying, in the words of the former Prime Minister, that I reject the premise of the question, really, because I think the biggest issue is the danger is the viability of the council of spending up too big on things. We're facing a huge debt level, and we have to do something about that. We have to be responsible. It doesn't mean it's not a binary thing. It's not, as Tim said, progress or something completely different. It's actually a balanced view to work within budgets and to do the things that people in our communities want. So what I hear is that we don't want to spend that big on the so-called nice to haves, the things that people use occasionally, the things that don't really add to meaning to people's lives. What we do want is more facilities in our communities, to keep the pool, to have another transfer station over this side of the city, to do other things that are actually going to benefit us all, to do the transport projects, including public transport, I'd add, Mike, and to actually make this a better city to live in. And I think we have to keep control on rates and debt increases.
Thank you, Tim. Be back right in. Thank you. Folks, the reason that we're in this panel is exactly the reason I ran for mayor in 2019. To break a stranglehold on a city which was 25 years behind. This hall, the one in Matua, the Tauranga pool, which is a critical part of our facilities, are the ones that I grew up in when I was a Boy Scout, learned to swim in Tauranga swimming pool. They are all broken down and derelict. If we do not continue to fund the necessary civic amenities together with housing, roading and infrastructure, we will leave for our grandchildren, your mokopuna, another huge debt burden in the future. Had it been done incrementally across the last 20, 25 years or so, we would not be here today in this mess. So please, folks, understand, Glenn is quite right on some of what he says, but we cannot stop the progress the commissioners have made. It is critically important that we move the city forward. David Tank, can we have a number, please?
19. It is.
Those at home, it's 19.
19th is my birthday. Oh, happy birthday. 19th July.
That's a very awkward time for that to be happening.
The letter is N. What will you do to help tackle substance abuse and support those affected in our community?
That's really a relevant question for a councillor for Matua-Otūmoetai. That's a national issue. If something came before council about, I don't think we have a need for a safe injection room in Tauranga. I could be wrong, but I don't think that question has a great deal to do with the day-to-day tasks of a councillor from Matua-Otūmoetai. Thank you.
Okay, Mike. Oh, box number.
Box number 9, thank you.
The question is letter S. What is the meaning of the place name Otūmoetai?
Seems to get the short ones. Yeah.
You had gotten on long ones, you still have 2 cards left.
Very true. Peaceful waters, which probably describes the area quite well, particularly around the Otūmoetai Salt Marsh and Matua Salt Marsh and the areas around by us. Moving on to a different subject again, I'm afraid. One of the questions was about the amount of reading and about the amount of work that is involved in being a councillor, because I know a lot of people think that it's something that's a bit of a part-time gig, and I don't believe that's the case. I myself have a trade cert, an advanced trade cert, 2 degree level qualifications, and a master's with first class honours. That took work, that took a lot of reading. That's the sort of attention and level of detail I can get to something, because I believe that when I start something, I don't have an ability to not do my best at something. I will give something my best efforts and my best attention to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'll pick up on that comment and just make a short remark from our hot desk as regards the question. We strive at it's in the ballot for integrity across all of our conduct, and we've just heard a beautiful example where hard work and attention to detail can really pay off in our pronunciation of place names. You might ask, hey, what's in a name? On the one hand, but on the other hand, there's a lot of significance there. And as we've heard, the name Otūmoetai links back to that story of peaceful waters, which has a deep and intergenerational significance. So we're also acknowledged that we're all in different places on our journey of te reo understanding, fluency and practice and confidence. So while we're not meaning to make anyone feel embarrassed or uncomfortable, we also do uplift and celebrate correctness when practiced. Hi, kia ora.
And Tanya, you get the next box number. Another number, please.
$16.
Oh yes, that's the age you can leave school. And you job at 15. I think 16 is when minimum wage kicks in.
Letter X. What qualifications do you hold that would qualify you for councillor, and what skills have you got to ensure that you will perform as well as a councillor?
This sounds very much like the question I answered previously, like exactly the same question.
I've been given the all clear to pick another box if that is the case.
That is exactly the same question, I'm pretty sure.
Not quite exactly the same, but I accept it's a very similar thing.
Pick another one, I almost picked
I was going to say, leave camp button and then pick another box to replace it.
That sounds like a plan.
Beautiful.
So my background is chemical and process engineering, and I've got 30 years experience working in large global financial institutions, in London, New York, and more recently remotely from Tauranga. I'm used to managing and optimizing the use of scarce financial resource. I'm used to collaborating across diverse teams to solve difficult problems. And it's these kinds of skills and experience that I think I can bring to the City Council to, help the TCC team deliver a city that we can all be proud of.
Okay, we're going to have another button before we get to the replacement box. This is awkward. There's also saying two people don't button on the replacement box. Daisy, did you button?
What qualifications do you need as a councillor? If you look at the past councillors, what good has a qualification done but line their pockets? Rather than talk about what I could do as your councillor, let me show you what I could do as your councillor for Matua-Otūmoetai.
Okay, no, we have limits to 2 buttons per question. But now we'll get to Tanya's new box number, hopefully with something that's very different from the previous one.
Ladies' choice. Okay. Lucky 13.
How many councillors do we need to vote for? One. Just one.
But you can rank them.
This is letter J. Given the well-established evidence globally and within New Zealand that congestion is increased when more and bigger roads are built, and also that congestion is bad for the economy, including wages, what policies would you support to improve the mobility of residents around Tauranga City?
That's a really good question. Right, and it's a twofer for me. It's inextricably linked with our other major issue, which is housing. So we have horrible traffic congestion and we have an increasingly pressurised and unfillable housing market. And that's because we're spreading. We're spreading over green fields. So every household that we spread further means it costs more to transport out. It takes our people further and further away from the main centres. We need, and I know this may not be popular, we need to intensify our housing. And I don't mean horrible flats like they have in ghettos in America or England. I mean beautiful, high density, livable, desirable housing in our residential areas. Increasing our population intensity so we can afford good transportation options, not roads, transportation. Roads are not the solution to getting people around. They're just another way to do it.
William's got a button.
Yeah, this has been an area of expertise for me. I'm an advisor to the Regional Transport Committee. I'm also a member of the Automobile Association Bay Community Council. I'm passionate about getting better transport solutions. I think it's a top priority. I do not support what the commissioners have done, where they took the number 1 and number 2 projects out of our long-term plan and look at the top 2 transport projects. I think we should go ahead with things like the Hewlett's Road Twitter upgrade. I'm a strong believer in better public transport. We need to make it better for local people, and we need to be able to get across the city a lot more conveniently. Otherwise, no one will get on it. I'm not into sort of forcing people out of cars, but I am into getting better facilities, better options for people. Now, I think as part of that, I'd like to see safer cycleways for every school. At the moment, parents are too scared to actually get their kids' bike to school, and I think that's totally understandable. We need to be able to do that. We need to do it more cost effectively. The current plan is for 108 million for the Otumoetai cycleways for 10 k's. We've got to actually cut the cost, but we've got to deliver transport as a top priority.
Thank you for that. Can we have a... be very, very quick.
Tauranga Street and Hewlett's Road under ours.
Okay, that's what we've got to. Okay. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
They're not scripted.
This is all part of the pre-meet, so it's okay. No, but I mean, Tim is right in terms of Hewlett's Road, but Totara Street is absolutely ours, and the project, although it's called Hewlett's Road Totara Street project, the project is for $750 million worth of improvements to grade separate rail, to actually put in place multimodal transport, but particularly to address the congestion point. And one of the big blockages is that Tauranga City Council took it out of the plan. It's their project. Most of the streets are theirs, and includes Monganui, Newton Road, Hull Road, other roads. It is up to the City Council to put it in. I will put it in if we get back on.
Thank you for that. Susie, can you pick a number for us, please?
I'll pick number 3, please.
For those at home, it's number 3.
That's been the last one and left out, Erica. Did you arrange that?
Letter R.
Not intentionally.
If you are elected as a councillor, will you decelerate council spending on unwanted grant projects and concentrate on vital, necessary infrastructure needs such as roading?
Well, Ben's the expert on the roading, so I just won't cover that. I have to agree with Tim Ben that we have to move forward and move our city forward. I'd also have to agree with other speakers that have said, you know, we need progress. But what we also need is we need to be sensibly spending, and we have seen, you know, we now have like a $3 billion debt that's going to be with us in the next few years. And so we as a city need to watch our spending and do it properly. And if I talk about the Otumoetai pool, what happened there is that was just pushed through, and there was no budgeting or anything done. And to say that it was in a bad condition, it's actually not in a bad condition. The 8-year-old report told commissioners it was in a bad condition, but actually it's not going to cost probably $10 million to fix it. It's more likely the investigations we've done, be a maximum of $2,000. So we have to make sure that whoever's making the claims, that we check that they've got it right, because some of the staff are getting a lot wrong. So we want to move forward, we want to be positive, but we also need to do it with integrity, with decency, and collaboratively, and get it right.
And Kim, that's right in.
Butting away. Thank you. I would like to agree that vital infrastructure is a priority over, say, a second stadium. Firstly, we need to repair the obvious fails, and I'm sure all of you are thinking potholes. I've also seen resealing done on roads, and us having worked in a council previously, not this one, I believe that this is due to it's scheduled. After a certain period of time, a road is scheduled for resurfacing. The reduction of traffic during COVID has possibly allowed us to postpone some of these projects that would automatically be done in another environment. As has been mentioned previously, NZTA has jurisdiction over a number of roads in Tauranga, and we need to be more active in promoting these up onto the national agenda for work. And some that spring to mind are the road out to past Bethlehem, the Tauranga change, and I'm sure there's a lot of others. Thank you.
Thank you. Lacey, pick another number, please. 21, please.
21.
Oh, yes. The old drinking age at one stage. And I think the voting age as well until I think the mid, was it 60s?
Also my age. I wish.
When do I see the second card?
This one is AB. Without the many candidates have predetermined absolute positions on some issues. How willing are you to be persuaded to take a different approach by evidence or public feedback?
I intend to have, I do not have any predetermined position on any issue. I intend to go into this role with a completely open mind and listen to whatever the public has to say.
We have a button from Susie and a button from David Webb. So we'll go Susie first and then David Webb.
One of my qualities, I guess, is that listening to the community is a key, and doing what the community want. And if we go and any of us end up in there with a preconceived idea, then we're actually going for the wrong job. You know, you have to listen to the people. You have to have a broad mind. You can change your mind. I'm quite staunch about a few things, but when it comes to having a discussion and getting all the information and all of those things, the preconceived idea must absolutely evaporate, and everybody must look at the facts, the finances, the ability to the people's needs in the community, and that goes for any sector of the community. And I think that the important thing for me is that the community are heard and not patronised, and thank you very much, ma'am, and then we go and do a different thing. I think that's the key, is that often people don't stay with their word when they have been campaigning, should I say. I make no promise except to say that I'll listen to the community.
You've been championing at the bit, mate. Go for it, Green. Buck right in.
David.
David, sorry, that's right.
Oh,
my apologies.
That's right. No, absolutely agree. We've got to listen to the community, and through taking feedback from the community, being accessible to the community, that's a really important piece of the puzzle. The evidence piece, again, I'm going to bring it up, and it also gives me a chance to talk to the other button that I tried to play earlier about my background. So, law degree, science degree in chemistry and maths. So for me, again, evidence is super important. So while we do listen to the community and their feedback's really important in local government, we also have to be able to listen to the expert evidence, the pros and cons, the alternatives for a particular decision. And then the last piece that no one's mentioned yet is being able to bring the community along on the journey after the decision. So this is why we've made this decision. This is the foundation on which we made the decision. And I think at the moment the council's a bit closed door. I know they do have a comms team, which is great. But I feel like they can be more engaged with the community after they do something. This is why we've done it. This is the basis. This is what we heard from the community. So to me, I'm really trying to be open-minded about any particular thing. But like I said, general direction's good, but we have to be really deliberate and careful about some particular projects.
Thank you, David. I do apologise for that. Call me Sam.
And Kev, what box number?
3. So for those wondering at home, box number 3. Have we got box number 3?
Oh, no, and I just got confused myself. So 4, 5, 6, and then. Well, this is a question from one of the young people. Question Q. With crime and violence on the rise, what measures will you take to ensure the safety of students walking to and from school and in public spaces?
So I think we'll need to engage with the schools and the students to look at the measures they can take to protect themselves and keep themselves safe. I think we need to hear from them where are the areas and concerns they have which are unsafe. I think from there you can, obviously with that engagement, you can then figure out measures to address it, probably in conjunction with the police. So a couple of ideas we have there. So, that might be just something like increased community or security patrols. It could be just better street lighting. Good innovation could be walking bus stops, school buses, I should say. Those sorts of things.
Okay, next up, Kim.
Is Tina available?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's kind of like a cool Christmas. Letter C. In recent years, violence directed toward Aotearoa, and in this case, Tauranga Moana's LGBTQAI community has increased, most notably with the destruction of our community's Rainbow Youth Facility in an attack. How would you create a Tauranga Moana that actively promotes the appreciation of our diverse communities?
Thank you. We all have a different life story and experience. Tolerance and collaboration ensure we'll benefit from the different skills and energy people can bring to our community. I would support the Rainbow Artwork Crossing and proposal and other initiatives that provide insight and education around valuing diversity of all sorts across our fellow community members. We also need to work with the Western Bay of Plenty Council to allow for wider support and promotion of such communities and for other group diversities. We cannot work alone in this. People have linkages across our community and we need to work with our closest ally, which is the Western Bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Susie, can we have another number from you, please?
Erica, would you like to choose it since I'm community-minded and community first and part of the community?
So she'll let me to choose because she's community-minded. And so I'm going to let you pick. Number 5.
That's easy. I love that audience picking.
Thank you.
Letter U for umbrella. Do you support a museum for Tauranga City?
I don't support the museum in the middle of the city, and the reason that I don't is because the community actually voted against it. And I think that that is one of the things that's really upset a lot of people is that, you know, this went to referendum, community voted against it being in the city, and then we've gone and done it. And I think that that's where councils let themselves down, is by not listening to the community. Now, I know that we want to revitalise the centre city, but we didn't need to put a museum in there. We could have looked at putting a museum down at the historic village where it once was years ago, or we could put it somewhere else. But I think what we've done there is we're spending a lot of money on something that I think that is going to cost us a lot of money, and it's also going to be very difficult for, in line with our expenditure that we've had. It's not going to be just the cost of the museum, it's going to be the upkeep of the museum as well.
We do have a button from David Tank. I do just want to clarify, was that a referendum that was sent out as a voting paper out to the voters, or was that a submission where people said they were against?
It was a referendum, I think, in 2018, I think.
Okay. So it's an unusual process for a referendum to go out on that, but I don't know the local issues. But a lot of people mistake submissions for referendums as well.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a submission, it was a referendum, and it was a vote.
David Tank?
Regarding the museum, I was quite amused to see that question was there. Do you support a museum when it's a science field and in the process of being delivered thing? Hearing the arguments about it again after some years, I'd just like to say that I'm so very utterly happy that all of these things that have been used to divide us over so many years are now dealt with and done. And we can move forward in making this city what it should be. For the first time in my life, I am proud of the way this town is going. Thank you.
TV, what box number?
What's the issue?
All right, I'm going to go to the audience. Number 6.
The age you must have your kid enrolled in a school.
Letter T for Tenby. What is your strategic vision for Tauranga City? i.e., what will the city look like in 10 to 15 years' time?
Something that we will all be proud of. This is not a little city. It's not a big town. It's actually a big city. We're New Zealand's 5th largest city. We have every ability to create something that we're proud of. Inclusively, with community, having all the facilities and amenities that we need, getting rid of the gridlocked roads, and just ensuring generally that we are part of the game to attract international talent, to get the university back up and running with international students, and not at the moment. And, you know, I really, I respect what Glenn has been saying. He does have an expert knowledge in this. To do the things that we need to do to create the city, to get it, to get the gridlock changed, is going to need Tauranga Street to become a national road. We can't do it with becoming a local road. It just won't happen like that. It is billions to separate the rail from the roads. Do we have the ability to do it? Sure, across time. But at the moment, we've got all these wonderful projects through the long-term plan up to 2035 or so, to 34. We have a real ability to create a city that we are proud of.
We look like we have two buttons. Tanya, you're first.
Like I said, right now I see Tauranga as an emerging city, but we still think of ourselves and identify as a small town in New Zealand. It doesn't work, we can't scale up, okay? What I see for Tauranga is our central city is balanced on thin peninsulas, and Mount Maunganui is all balanced on thin peninsulas. We're gridlocked and we're having trouble fitting in. What I see is intensification in the main city centres with fabulous buildings, because we are Tauranga, they will be fabulous. We'll intensify our population where we've got good walking and public transport and bicycle access for those populations, and sufficient population to support it, with good high-speed transit to our suburbs, which are different again. I see great transportation between the two main hubs in Mount Maunganui and Tauranga city centres, not necessarily roads. We don't have options because we will have more people to carry the cost.
Okay, Mike, your button.
So my children are 12 and 9. By the time they grow up, we're going to be a city of 300,000 people. And we really have a decision, more or less an inflection point now. Are we going to invest in the future to make it one that's accessible to people from all walks of life, to one where we have good quality of life, to where we have the facilities that we need to, and we maintain the facilities, particularly those ones that we've already got, that we can maintain, upkeep, and improve those facilities. Yes, that will take investment. Yes, that will take creativity as far as other sources of funding goes, like I discussed with the roads. But that's the sort of thing that we need to move our city forwards to make it one 10 to 15 years time where we can look back and have those things, because we need to invest in them now.
Okay, next question, box, David Webb. What box number?
Erica, do you have 11?
I do.
Excellent.
W. Shortly, Tauranga City Councilors will be asked to approve a proposal for the installation of rainbow street art in the CBD. The aim of the project is to celebrate our rainbow community, acknowledge our wider diversity, and improve the vibrance of our CBD. Would you vote in favor of the proposal, and if not, why not?
There's a couple of questions that we've had around diversity in terms of culture. There's also diversity in terms of LGBTQ. So this particular proposal is for a crossing, which is a traffic installation, be painted as a rainbow, right? So the evidence on transport-related things, on road signs, on crossings, is that they need to be predictable. People need to be able to see, I know what I'm seeing, I'm driving, and I know what I'm going in front of. So while I do support initiatives for supporting and normalising and educating people about different cultures and different ways of living and diverse people, I think this particular one actually becomes slightly dangerous because it's not a clear zebra crossing. So personally, I'd be voting against this. There's many other things we should and do in our city to support diverse people. For example, the multicultural festival, which I think it's 25th years. So I'm no on this one, but again, open to being persuaded. I think it's a slight risk in terms of danger.
Thank you for that for candidates, and thank you, Erica, for opening the boxes. We're going to take a mid-time break here, which we know we're a little bit late, but that's what happens when there's so many people put their hat in the ring. And we'll see you back in about 10 minutes' time for hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Okay, and welcome back. Now let's get ready for hard-hitting questions.
So, just trying to find it.
Oh, it's under captions. Not captions, the design.
Keywords graphics.
Okay, so hard-hitting questions are the questions that we get all candidates to answer. So you cannot use your button cards, you cannot use your defer cards, because you're going to be answering it anyway. So it's no point needing to have those cards on there. So let's kick off to hard-hitting question number one. Do you support the Tauranga City Council's long-term plan 2024-2034? And I'll just wait for my random list to come up. And Susie, you get to go first.
You made me last time.
Well, unintentionally.
Question 5. Do I support the long-term plan? Well, I've read the long-term plan, and there's parts of it, yes, I definitely support. Just going back on what I said about the museum is already set in the long-term in the plan, so it's not something that I can stand up against at this time. There are things that we're going to have to look at, whether they're going to be feasible and whether the due diligence has been done on some of the things that are in the long-term plan. And one of those is around the aquatic centre and the QE2 centre, and of course the Otūmoetai pool. And I don't mean to harp on those, but they are in our local area. But right across the city, there are things that possibly need to be looked at. And I say that because a lot of people that are campaigning are not actually necessarily against the long-term plan. They just want to look at how it's been put together, because there are some things that we don't agree with, I think. So, yeah, that's it.
Tēnā koe, Susan. We go now to your right. Zach, kōrero mai.
Do I support the Tauranga City Council's long-term plan? Yes and no. There's stuff in it I agree with, and there's stuff I don't agree with. One of the things I disagree with is increasing our rates over the next 10 years by 164%. That seems excessive to me when we're blowing budgets out of proportion. If our rates went up that much and we had an amazing city with all the infrastructure and everything we could ever want, I think most people would much rather have that if they're going to be spending that much in their rates. But I guarantee by the end of the 10 years, we're not going to have this if we keep going at the rate we're going. So things I disagree with, the stadium. We have an amazing stadium over in Hamilton, and what are we going to do? Try take games from them? The Chiefs aren't going to come play here. They might do one game a season, that's it. But we could reallocate that 280 million, I believe, into other aspects first. Thanks.
Timmy.
Yeah, the answer is yes, I do, absolutely, other than the museum, because the community has voted against it so far. I like to think that we can get there with a museum in some way that represents and recognises the deep history that we have here in Tauranga Moana. And I'm very open about the museum, but you know, it's times to come. I think that will wash out, you know, I guess. However, in terms of the long-term plan up to 34, I do support it fully, and I would like to see it happen in stages, and providing we can fiscally manage those stages so we end up with the vibrant city that we all want. Kia ora, Kim.
Thank you. I think the collective elected representatives will need to go through the plan and prioritise what is the best strategy and priorities for moving forward. We'll need to prioritise. The plan is expensive. We can't afford the rate. The rates now represent a substantial portion of household income for many homes in the city. Committing to big project ideas while still carrying debt from the past is not a great blanket decision. We need to be careful how we spend our money, but not foolish. And new and exciting projects do deserve funding, but we have to stagger how that will happen, and for that we need to prioritise, and that is what the collective elected representatives need to do. I'm not one to tear down something that's been put in the past, but I think it needs reassessment. Thank you.
The use of time, Kim, and David Ting.
Yes.
Short, sharp, and sweet. Strategic use of time. Yeah. Now, Glenn, please.
No, I don't support the long-term plan. It will lead to New Zealand's most indebted city by far by 2034. We already have seen a huge increase in debt, and it will be 5 times what it was when the Commission was arrived here. Now, if you don't think that's important, think about what it means for your children, your grandchildren, for future generations. I'm all about sustainability. Yes, we need to be progressive. Yes, we need to put facilities in. And as I said, I want to get good transport, good community facilities. But the big city centre facility, $1 billion in the city centre. It's too much. We can't afford it. We need to be far more selective. We need to keep a cap on rates. They're going to go up 2.8 times when you include levies by 2034. 2.8 times. Think about that and what it means for people who are on fixed income. We can't afford it. We have to amend it, and I would do that if councillors agree.
Okay, Mike.
It's a mixed bag for me, I'm afraid. It's not a binary yes or no. I support the urban intensification plans, except for those proposed to turn the mountain to a surface paradise with massive high-rise there. We do need to, and we've heard about why that's important and what we can gain out of it. What urban intensification can deliver for our city as far as the people, the infrastructure, the projects. I support the targeted rates for West Bethlehem, Paispa, Wairiki and Patamala. That's where the council's been spending money. They have a targeted rate proposed for that. I do support that. I'm not opposed to selling the car parking buildings to avoid taking on more debt. Although I'm going to suggest the council sells them for more than $1 this time. Just I hugely oppose fees for sports grounds, boat ramps and road use. They're talking about all of those things in the long-term plan if we read it. Absolutely oppose those. What sort of city, what place would we become if we're paying for every single thing? Ticketing, here, there, everywhere. I support building the stadium stages and in such a way that we will get games here and we can add a roof later on without ripping the whole darn thing down again. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mike. Next, David Webb.
I mentioned earlier, broadly support the direction of the LTP. However, there are a few things we can be very deliberate about. So for me, I haven't seen any evidence around the business case for the stadium that makes it convincing, and also I've read surveys of people that have said that they are against that as well. So the stadium probably a no, but we need to look at what people actually want. The museum is, I think, an important cultural thing. It doesn't cost the earth, so I think I'm for that. But the civic centre, the convention centre is $300 million. It's a lot of money. I can't see the return on investment on that from what I've heard. However, I think people throw around these 165% increases in rates and the tripling of debt over the next 10 years, right? So you can come talk to me afterwards about this, but if we can break that down, just do a quick bit of maths. So the 165% increase is actually the total amount of rates that have been brought in increasing by that amount. The residential rates are only increasing about 120, and mid-rates and so on as well. We'll talk to you afterwards, but it doesn't actually incrementally every year feel as bad as it sounds, okay?
Hopefully do that. I just thought it'd be helpful if people understood the, just backing up what David's saying about convention centre, that is part of the big picture plan. The 300 million, I think what you're referring to, just to clarify, is the C-Wing, Civic Whare International Exhibition Centre Museum. So that's the 300 and something million as it was a year or so ago. And the convention centre is on top of that. It's not actually in the plan right now. It's sort of on the books, which could be put in if you choose councillors who want to put it in, and there are a number of those, and it will not be if you choose councillors who don't want to. Hope that's helpful.
Okay, Tanya.
Kia. Yes, I do. I do support keeping up the momentum of the long-term plan. We have to keep moving forward. I do think we have to show fiscal responsibility in its implementation, and we've already seen some of that happen where things have been moved or delayed. I do think we want to become a vibrant city with sophisticated sports, arts, and culture. We want to grow up to be a big city. We want a diverse population that has great accommodation choices and wonderful living spaces. We have to keep that forward momentum. I agree, you've got to look at those figures because they sound a lot worse than they are. There's a little bit of spin going on there with the 164%. So look at inflation, look at the rate space, look at everything else, population growth. It's not quite as painful as it's been spun. And I want to go ahead. I want to live in a fabulous, vibrant, wonderful city that my children will enjoy and where I can get a cup of coffee after 9 o'clock on a Saturday.
Kev.
Yes, in general, I support the long-term, implementing the long-term plan. Not necessarily everything, but it is a comprehensive document, and I think it's the way to go. Just in saying that, though, being a long-term plan, it will evolve and develop over time, particularly in the back end. So if you were to think about something like the stadium, which is right out the far end, the business case for that may change as the central city develops. So it's important that the plan it gets renewed every 3 years. It needs to evolve to ensure that it keeps meeting the needs of the city, that it represents value for money, and it stays aligned with what the people of Tauranga are asking for. Delivering on the long-term plan is key to realising the vision of Tauranga being the best city in New Zealand.
Again, thank you for that. Now, far end of our lineup, Basie.
No, I do not support that plan. Why would we support something that's just going to evolve every 3 years? Why not solidify something? And besides, all the people who created this plan be in positions to see it out through to the end. Probably not. I don't know. Well,
Okay, let's get to hard-hitting question number 2, which I'll let Brody read out, but just like to mention something first about it. This question actually was not submitted from a member of the public. This was basically dragged in because it was a very high intensive community issue. That was something that we actually did note when this was brought to our attention last night. No one actually put that question into the question box, but because it was a big issue, we have put that on there. So myself and Stacey made an unusual decision, which was to change the question partway through and put it based on local issues. So just to be aware that, you know, it's interesting that it's a big issue, but no one actually went and put the question through into the question box, and I was delving through emails and all sorts of things trying to find it. But let's Brody read off question number 2.
So how good, Sam, that despite the process, you've innovated and been flexible to really be responsive to the voice of the Ōtūmoetai Mātua Ward. Hi, and the question reads, straight from the mouths of people per yesterday evening, what is your position on the announcement for the closure of the Ōtūmoetai swimming pool as a community facility in exchange for an upgraded aquatics facility 5 k's away at Memorial Park?
David Teague, you get to go first.
This is an example of people changing one's mind on the matter. I wasn't too stressed about this to start with, but talking to people and listening and also thinking a bit more about it, I reached the conclusion that Ōtūmoetai Pool is an asset that should stay. But looking at the overall scenario, I think that it could do. One of the comments that keeps coming back to me is that we do not have a 50-metre pool. We don't have something that's good for the competitive swimmers that will attract swimming carnivals or whatnot to the city. So what's happening down at Memorial Park, I think, is absolutely wonderful. It's so very, very, very long overdue. But I wonder if one centralised spot on this side of the harbour is enough, and that perhaps Ōtūmoetai Pool should be looked at as being something that is worthy of far grander investment, including 50-metre pools and some kind of competitive sports centre attached to the school, combining tennis and swimming. So basically I'm saying I think maybe we might need to spend another 100 million to do what we should do. Thanks.
And back down to you, Basie.
No, I'm against it. Only insulted our children. Well, my wife went there, swam there, grew up there. My children now grow up and swim there. So, yeah, my children grow up and they swim there as well. I would, much like my fellow constituent here, would like to see it upgraded rather than moving that elsewhere. And besides, you probably see a lot of congestion in and around that Memorial Park area. So why would you?
Susie.
I've got 10 minutes.
No. If you can do your first minute now, and you leave your 9 minutes for the live stream later on.
Thank you. Look, we must keep the Ōtūmoetai Pool. And it was at the beginning of all of this, people were saying on Facebook, look, this is terrible, we're losing the pool. The due diligence was not done. I've done a full investigation. Glenn's been very involved in this, and there's been a core group of us that have got together and investigated everything. This pool must stay. It does not need a huge amount of money and spending on it. It doesn't need to be a massive pool. It just needs some maintenance. It's actually been very well maintained, and it's not the disaster that has been put out into the community, that it's, you know, on bad ground, etc. It is not on bad ground. They haven't even done a geotech report. It had a crack because it had a leaky pipe underneath it. So that pool has been there since 1968, and so if it was on such dangerous ground, I think it would have slipped by now. We've had a bit of rain sometimes. And it's very, you know, we live right by that pool, and actually it is used a lot, and I don't believe even the figures we were given were correct. So we are stopping Save the Otūmoetai pool. We are not going to lose our pool.
Okay, Timothy.
That's all right. This is the pool that I grew up in the 60s, so this is more of the same. We absolutely need a pool. 29% of the city's population lives in Otūmoetai and Matua. We need a facility of that sort. I'm going to give you an example, though, of how we could do it. You recall that the Maua base track was when I became mayor, had been broken for, I think it was close to 4 years, maybe slightly more. At its worst, the council came up with a budget of $4.5 million. We did it in 12 weeks for $733,000, and it's still standing. That remediation around the Maua base track, the most walked track in New Zealand at nearly 1 million people per year, is still standing, and it's great. Let's approach this problem in the same way we approach that problem and solve it.
And we've got new piece coming.
Oh. Firstly, something's got to be used while they build the other one, and we've all seen that that doesn't necessarily go ahead so smoothly. I like some of the background information that's come in from the other candidates on that it's not necessarily so bad, but that is really the question. Is it the maintenance very high? I previously have lived in a city where they had a similar facility and it was shared with the school. It was primarily for school use during school term, and then at the weekend and on holidays, it was open to public use, and in the evenings, obviously, open to public use, and there was a charge for that to help offset the cost. So I don't see why a model like that couldn't be used in this situation. Thank you.
Yeah, that feels like Shannon swimming pool. From my short stint living in Shannon. David Webb.
We do need a facility in our neighbourhood, as Timmy mentioned. It's not good enough to have the kids at the schools and the local residents have to go into the city to use a pool. So we do need to have a pool in Otūmoetai. Again, let's just be open to the evidence. We haven't yet got the geotech report. So if it does indicate that it will need to be substantial every year ongoing maintenance, then we have to be open to saying, let's build something new there, or let's find another site nearby. But in principle, we need to get the pool open, and it's great that the community stood up and made sure that it didn't get closed until we had the evidence to make the right decision.
Thank you, Glenn. Up next, Tanya.
No, Glenn.
Please, yeah, Glenn next.
Yeah, the name that's highlighted on there at the moment. Now Tanya's highlighted for the next person.
Seems confusing me on my first day, folks.
Yeah, I was gobsmacked. I watched the council meeting where they announced this. I alerted the public to it the next day. Susie sort of stepped in a bit later and used her social media networks to get it out to more people. And I just think it was the craziest decision because there's no evidence at all for whether they should close it. So we don't see any evidence currently saying that it needs to be closed, that there could be issues. I agree with David, but I think it's essential we have a pool in Otūmoetai. I think the other thing is that, as Richard Clark from the Matua Residents Association has said, the West is paying for the rest. And Tembe's number, I think, was related to Matua-Otūmoetai and Bethlehem. But whatever the number, the significant thing is we've got a whole lot of people ourselves who live here, and we are actually paying a huge percentage of the rates, and only council-owned and operated facility of any significance is that pool, and they want to take it away. The commissioners made that decision with no evidence. We don't want councillors there who will do that, so we need to get people on there who will actually stick up for you guys.
Thank you. Now can we please hear from Tanya?
Hi. Well, I don't see a conflict here between a Memorial Park pool and Otūmoetai pool. We can have both facilities. Otūmoetai clearly has the population and the will and the use to have a community facility. My children used to swim there as well. A 50-metre pool in Memorial Park will bring a higher class quality of swim meets here. There's no doubt about that. But the training still has to happen here. And swim meets are not the only use for this pool. So I think it should stay.
Mike.
They're looking at a 50 level? No.
So they presenting this as an exchange of a pool. I wouldn't exchange that pool for the one at Memorial Park. I think the Memorial Park pool is necessary. The upgrade is good. It's going to be good for the community. I do not think that we should be losing the Otūmoetai pool. In fact, that was my advocacy for the pool was what actually got someone to nominate me for council in the first place. I would exchange it for a few other things. But the council came up with the worst case scenario when they were trying to scare us and came up with $11 million it would cost to completely revamp this and make it an amazing venue. And I thought, well, that's actually not bad. I'd swap that for the $12 million Elizabeth Street upgrade. I'd swap it for the $11 million Totara Street cycleway that's due to be ripped up in a few years. Those are exchanges I'd make to keep the Otūmoetai pool. So if you're talking about exchanges, that pool stays. We can find something else we need to exchange. The reality is we need it at part of our community.
Okay, Zach.
In the summer of 2021 to 2022, 180 people were rescued by our lifeguards on the beach throughout the Bay of Plenty. That's 180 people who wouldn't be with us if it wasn't for those lifeguards. And by taking away a local pool, that's even more people that are going to be put in risk and at risk that they're going to get into trouble when their lifeguards on duty. Part of the Western Bay of Plenty Search and Rescue Squad, I've seen more dead bodies than I should at the age of 20, and we have to do everything we can to stop this. And by taking away a community pool is not what's going to do it. With the memorial pool, an 8-lane 25-meter pool is subpar. We need a 10-lane 2-meter deep 50-meter pool if we want to encourage competitive swimmers, competitive water polo players, synchronized swimmers, underwater hockey, any surf lifesavers. If we had this 50-meter pool, we could even host surf lifesaving championships on Mount Beach or Mount Mominui.
We've got 10.
There doesn't appear much more I could say because I think it would be an absolute shame to see the pool close. So complete agreement with everything everybody said. I mean, it just seems odd that, you know, when we're talking about supporting a long-term plan that gives us more facilities and infrastructure, that they're taking it away, which, you know, from the local community. So completely support any effort that we can to keep the pool open or develop a new one. You know, to echo what I think Timby and Kim said, you know, look for innovative solutions and ways that we can do it.
Can I just add something to that for information?
Be very quick.
I'll be quick.
Yes.
Just to let you know, there is a working group that is looking at all scenarios of whether that's a new pool, whether that's upgrading this pool, but the intention is to try very hard to save the pool. So all the due diligence is now being done, and it's being done very well. So we're very pleased to have come to that place with the council and with Baby News.
Thank you for your thoughts on this very important matter. We move on to our next hard-hitting question. How do you see the possible future in regards to the regaining of public recreational access to the eastern Tauranga Harbour? And let's hear your thoughts first, please, Tanya. Someone said correctly at the right time this time.
Okay, first thing I'm going to point out is the unique character of Mount Mominui are the beaches, Mauau and Pilot Bay. It's not its architecture. Okay, so the way I see it, what I'd like to see at the Mount is more intensified residential housing, so more people can enjoy those very recreational spots without having to drive in. So they're not restricted to the current architecture and the people that live there now. The way I see the Mount, it's an exciting, buzzy place where people can live and enjoy the spaces, the beach, Pilot Bay and Mauau, with sufficient population, so we can perhaps have alternative transport solutions, for example, a ferry. If we have enough people transiting between the Mount and the city, a ferry is going to be financially viable. So, yeah, that's how I see the Mount developing.
Okay, Timby.
Thank you. You all know that we have not one but two ports here in Tauranga. They're the biggest and they're the most efficient in the country. There is, as Erica absolutely knows, they're about to expand the port, if you will, towards the inner city on this side. And it's going to add to shipping, it's going to add to an awful lot of volume that we're going to see on the harbour. I can tell you this, that we were nearly there with ferries, having had discussions with Fullers at the day, and I took some of the team to Auckland. We had the chief executive come down at the time, and the remediation costs of the three wards, Mount, Tauranga and Omakoroa, was nickels and dimes to get the ferries going. So we were nearly there, and it was killed, unfortunately. Having a ferry service from Omakoroa to the city relies on a linked bus service. The bus service at the moment is an abject failure. And this is regional council I'm talking about. So we need to have ferries that are going to be linked to bus services, and we need to find a way of all of us enjoying the harbour together. At the moment, it is cluttered. There's no way around that, and that is going to continue.
Thank you, Tim. Be up next. Your thoughts, please, Susie.
I get all in listening to people. Look, my thoughts on the ferry, and I agree with Timby. We talked about that in the last election in 2019. Is it would be so good to have a ferry coming from Omakoroa. You know, this is what they do in Howick into Auckland City, isn't it? And people get that to work. I think the intensifying the amount, like Tani was saying, is a very positive thing, but I don't want to see that we do it to the point where we have a surface paradise. So I would like to go on to that other meeting tonight where they were talking about the size of those buildings. So that's probably my thoughts on that. I just want to see that we progress everything together as a city in the best way possible in all areas. I don't think that we just focus on one or two or three. I think we have to look at our whole city as a whole. That the whole city is a huge city now. I came here and I think it's just let's go with growth and let's do it properly.
Okay, Mike.
So it's an interesting question, regaining access to the Eastern Tauranga Harbour. Well, I'll be honest, yes, it's busy, but that port supports a lot of what we do. Without that port, without all of the money that port brings in through various ways that filters down to us, we'll be paying a lot more for what we have. We're not going to be kicking the port out anytime soon, so suggesting that's a bit silly. There will be an expansion of the port. That's also necessary for growth and productivity. But we have great beaches, we have great places. I access it both by boat and by car. I go to many of the beaches. I like the accessibility we have. Yes, parking can be a bit of a problem sometimes on the Mount Main beach, but there's plenty of other beaches. We're blessed with that. I don't see this as being a major issue. Should I be in council, I would have other things to pursue rather than worrying about haranguing the port about their activities. Obviously, I don't want them extending beyond the Salter Point region, and we would certainly, I don't think anyone else would accept that either. Thank you.
Look, I agree. Look, Tauranga Harbour is one of our natural gems, so we need to look after it. So I'm not aware of a plan that manages it. There might be one, but I think we do need one that would manage the needs of the port, and obviously the economic benefit that brings us, the natural environment, all the other users of the harbour, including iwi, hapu, and the Murray, and the Bay of Plenty. So, I thought I saw the ferries where there was a trial ferry starting up next year. I like one, yeah. So, so that's positive. I support all other ways and means we can access the harbour, whether it's the boat ramps, whether it's the cycle tracks. What we have down through Harbour Drive, through Coolan Park and around Ferguson Park, I mean, it's just fantastic. So, that kind of access, the more we can do like that, the better.
Okay, basic. Regaining, that's a strong word. Whose land is it? Then we need to ask those questions first.
Okay, Glenn.
Yeah, I guess these sort of issues are my bread and butter because I've been involved in it for a number of years with sustainability, with businesses, councils, community organisations. So we have to balance environmental outcomes, economic outcomes, and also the hapu over there. I think this is one of those issues we cannot turn back the clock, we can't get rid of the port, but we have to question how big can it get. The forecast is for freight to increase more over the next 30 years than it has over the past 30 years. So those of you who have been here a while, think back 30 years and think how much bigger that port has got. Can we afford to do that again? I don't think so. Access, recreational access is critical. At the moment, the City Council behind the scenes, well, firstly, they're being investigated by the Ombudsman around this issue, but secondly, they are doing a backroom deal around recreational access being limited at Sulphur Point at the Marine Park. Now, you can have whatever view you want, it's fine. My big issue is all these decisions need to be decided by communities. Councillors will stick up for you guys and not by central government and not by people who are behind closed doors doing things.
Thank you, Glenn. Kim.
Thank you. We still have beautiful parks and beaches in our area. If residents feel that these could be enhanced in any way, come forward with your ideas. I'm sure the new council will be pleased to hear them. I don't like the trend that's happened down at Sulphur Point with the charges coming in for parking while people are using that recreational resource, the boat ramp, mainly because I think it can spill over into justification for other parking uses associated with recreational areas. I'm really hoping that the ferries might include an electrical option in the future. Thank you.
And I can certainly say that has been successfully done for the Days Bay Ferry in Wellington. Okay, David Tink. Your answer.
Anything that comes up in council in regard to that area, I will be looking at with an open mind. The pollution and the rat infestation of mice that I see on that side of the harbour, issues that I think require a great deal higher profile. Predator-free is something that I think the city should pursue with a great deal more alacrity. You noticed recently we lost a shipment of kiwi fruit with mice infestation. Well, however that happened, when I walked back from working in the pack house on the night shift a couple of months ago, every night over the harbour bridge, and saw the rats and the mice, it didn't surprise me when I read that news story. So, yeah, my concern at this point would be more to do with air quality and vermin than it would be necessarily with any other aspect of the priority for.
Thank you, David. Your thoughts, please, Zach?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, I don't know overly a lot about this ferry idea, but how I look at it is a ferry during the summer season, when we have all the cruise ships coming in, I feel like it's going to be used quite a lot. During the winter, I don't feel like it'll be used too much, and especially driving around the mount, there's not too much traffic there during the winter. So a seasonal ferry, I see that as more viable and definitely a lot less of a cost to the taxpayers. Other ways we can encourage the use of the mount, the Pilot Bay, all that area is the proposed idea of a single street through the one-way street throughout the mount. Don't know all the details on that, but it's definitely something to look at properly, and even if that's just in the summer seasons as well, to reduce the congestion.
Okay, David Webb.
Without repeating what everyone said here, there are a number of competing priorities here. So we have the port, we have recreational access, we have people using the beaches, people being able to move around, we have potentially this trial for ferries. We do have a trial for ferries. I think we need to be open to placing restrictions on whether the port gets any bigger again. I'm with Glenn on that. and obviously good environmental things to think about as well. On the ferry spot, I am really excited about that. I do think the connection between, with the trials between, as I believe, Mount and downtown, I think that's really exciting. And I think in the future we have to work with regional council to make that to give a fit to that. So I think we need to keep exploring that. But same as everyone else.
Thank you for that, for answering the hard-hitting question. So now let's get to wrap up for closing statements. Each candidate gets 1 minute, and Ken, you get to go off first.
So, you know, the key thing for me, the focus for me will always be, you know, balancing the city's growth with a fiscal responsibility. So I'm a team player, you know, and I want to look to develop solutions, not just pick out problems. I don't have a hidden agenda. I don't have any political affiliations or any pet projects. I just want to do the job. Just to reiterate, you know, I have a background in engineering, global finance. I'm used to working with diverse groups of people to solve difficult problems. I think that's a skill set and some experience which can be put to good use working in the council to deliver the vision of a city that we can all be proud of. I live in Matua-Otūmoetai, and I'll be a strong advocate for the Matua-Otūmoetai Ward sitting around the council table. I am positive about the future and I'm excited about the opportunity in front of us. So a vote for Cam is a vote for Cam Holden is a vote for a positive future for Tauranga. So because Cam.
Yes. It's all right. Blame the audience. I'm clapping over top of it.
Yes. Another thing I'd like to do is get a viewing platform at the end of Ōtūmoetai Power Reserve, looking out over the harbour and the harbour entrance. Particularly set it up so that it was a good spot for camera work. Just down next to the garden over there, we have the cherry blossoms, and a lot of tourists and whatnot come through and have their photos taken with the blossoms and done, as you know, all around here. There's lovely cherry blossom trees. I'd like to cull the Canada geese down at MacArthur Park. It'd be good that we get that back under control, but do it in a humane manner so that we can harvest some meat, perhaps raffle it, and make some money for some local organisations. I've got about 1,000 different ideas. I know the area intimately. I could take you around places in these neighbourhoods and go, well, we could get that fixed up. If I were to be elected, I would be a local councillor with a view to the global, but I would be a local councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Your closing remarks, please, Tingley. Thanks for coming out, everybody. 2019, I won the mayoralty with over 17,200 votes. It was one of the biggest majorities we'd seen for a long time. And we were tripped from the outset. And we were tripped by petty, visionless politicians who have trampled on democracy in this city for decades. Not just my lot, but many councils before. We have an opportunity this time, now that the stranglehold has been broken, to elect people who have a vision, who have courage, who can work together as a team, and who support each other as opposed to snipe and fight with each other. My plea to you is to elect the person as mayor and in your wards, all of you, who you believe is going to take the city forward and continue the work. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, Mike.
So I spoke about my academic qualifications before. I own a business and I develop commercial properties. I deal in large numbers. They don't scare me. I can make the decisions. Cost blowouts kill projects. That is what I can do. I'm very good at managing the numbers. As well as that, I don't get emotional. I don't get angry. I don't have the baggage of anyone who is on the past council. I think we need to draw a line under that. We need to move forward. I agree we need to move forward, but I think we need to move forward with new blood into the future of the city that we love, to make it what it can do, to outline with my vision before, where we could be 10, 15 years' time. That needs to start now.
Thank you, Mike. Your closing statement, please, Stacey.
Thank you for coming out, everyone. I'm
it's been a bit of a long evening, but hey, like my answers, I'll keep it short and simple. I'm a real person. I am happy to work with you, the people. Vote for me. Basically, number one. Kia ora.
Okay, Glenn.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a track record of being a team player. I've worked with communities across the bay, but particularly across Tauranga. I've worked with ministers, I sit around the council table every couple of months with plenty mayors and councillors. So I know what it's like to look into council plans and projects. Really all about environmental sustainability, but also financial sustainability. We have to get this balance right. We have to actually move forward, but move forward in a way that's not going to impose a huge amount of debt and massive rates increases. It means we need to change a few things. We need to become more accountable, more transparent in what we do. Some of the stuff, I mean, a lot of people don't see what's going on. I see up close. And there are some things there I think we just need to tweak. We need to actually be able to come out with a more comprehensive plan that's community-led and do far more to engage with our local communities. So if you elect me, I will get the pool, bring a transfer station if I can to Matua-Otūmoetai, Bethlehem, somewhere around this area, because I don't want people queuing up going tonight and listen to what I say.
Thank you, Glenn. Your turn now, please, Kim.
Thank you. I'll keep it really short. You've all been very patient and thank you for your attention. I believe the prime role of your council representatives is to ensure that the income that the council receives is spent effectively and wisely. For this, we're going to need to be extremely collaborative and extremely smart and extremely creative in moving forward to create the vibrant city that attracted us to move here. I'm going to be leaving a form over there. If you would like to know my answers in full, just leave your email and I'm happy to send a copy of all my answers from tonight to you. Thank you.
Tanya.
Thank you, Otūmoetai. So why should I be on the council or mayor and represent you? I love Tauranga. I'm invested in Tauranga. I want her to do well. She's growing. Our city is growing. We can't stop that. The only thing we can do is help with the growing pains. Clever infrastructure decisions, the way we manage our regulations, doing things to promote growth in a healthy, sustainable way. So we have a wonderful, livable city where everybody, diverse populations, not just suburbs, but inner city living, can live and be happy. We've got to create environments and infrastructure. We cannot go back. We have to go forward. And I have a vision of Tauranga as a grown-up city, not just a small town struggling with growth. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your vision, Tanya. Next, David Webb, please.
So as I mentioned, I have 3 little kids and I really care about the future for this city. So the way we're going to get there is to be bold, to be moving forward, to be doing that collaboratively. So I'm a consensus builder on council. I will sit there, I'll ensure I understand the evidence, my legal background, my science background, but I'll also make sure that we can listen to the community, take their feedback on board, and then close that communication circle to tell everyone why we're doing and what we're doing. I think the long-term plan is great, but I do think we can be a little bit trim here and there if we're just really careful about why we're doing exactly what we're doing. So for me, what I hear from everyone is they want a functional council, they want fresh people who are able to look at reading all the information, all the financials, and listen to the community so that they can then make sensible consensus building decisions across the council and across the community where we can bring everyone on the journey. Thank you.
Thank you for your approval too, David. Susie, we'd like to hear from you next, please.
Well, I think that all of the talents along here tonight would represent us well in council. I think that we've got a great selection, even though there's so many of us. I think everybody would bring something wonderful to the table. my position is I worked in and out of politics on the inside and on the outside, from a very young woman to lobbying, to working with the many ministers in government. And so I've had a lot of experience in working in a collaborative way and working in a good way and making progress and getting things done. And I just think that we have the most wonderful opportunity right now, that we can now start afresh. We can go forward. We can go forward and be a good team, as much as we're all independent. But we certainly have got one thing that we must do, and that is we must put our community first.
Yeah, so I'm up here against plenty of people who have much more life experience than me, and people with much fancier degrees, whether they're a lawyer or engineer or whatnot. But the thing I can offer you is that I want to listen. Whether it's something I said tonight that you disagree with or agree with, something you want to shed more light, or ask me something else, please reach out. I'm here to listen to you and share my views, and whether we agree or disagree at the end, it's about sharing our voices and bringing the voice of our community to our local council. So a vote for Zach Reader is a vote for the voice that wants to listen.
So, thank you, candidates, for coming on tonight. Now, here's a little bit of voting ways to help educate people with STV and make the best use of your votes. This election, whoever ends up in the top position will have, after redistributions of preferences of votes, will have to have 50% of the vote plus one. So when going down your voting paper, please make sure you rank, go a decent chunk down. I mean, in order to make an official vote, all you need to do is put as number one is that. But with a single member board, these elections are decided by second, third, fourth preferences, and probably down here could be even as far as 10th preference votes. So when you get out your ballot paper, we've got an interesting tool here for our audience who are here. You can rewatch this online later on and sit there and find out a bit more. Rewatch, see the good highlights and that sort of thing. But go through and make sure that you rank who you would like to have on there, because as being said here, it's single transferable vote, and going through each iteration, it will be the second, the third, the fourth, and as I said there, because the number of candidates, 10th preference votes onwards, will make the decision of who ends up around that council table. So, if you want to make the best use of your vote, go around, do a good amount of ranking and all that sort of thing. And can I thank all the candidates here tonight for coming out. It's not easy. I will be honest with you, this was probably my most nervous It's in the Ballot show for the Tauranga City Council because of the sheer number of candidates. And the other one was also the layout of how to fit everyone in there. I'm actually pleased we've managed to make it work. We've managed to just get an HDMI cable down to that TV to have with everything else on this TV down here, and it's really just by the skin of the teeth that it's just fitted. So going through there, I know David, you're about to quickly say something.
It was just a good point on the STV. You can't hurt your favourite candidate by ranking everyone, right? Some people think that it's going to hurt your main candidate. You can't, okay? If you want to understand more, there's some good videos online. I have a LinkedIn post on it. Happy to help people if they don't understand STV.
The Nelson City Council STV Explain video I found is one of the best out there from what I've seen. So going through there. Now, just for any of those who are watching online and love this content, we're a small dollar organisation where the majority of the funding of these shows comes out of members' pockets, and I'm actually the biggest financial contributor. So if you want to donate, you can get there is an option on the Eventbrite system, ticket without donation. We have it, as you might notice, the back of the cards have been here on them. We lost the It's in the Ballot one, so we used my business as being here, and I bought one of the two EFTPOS machines up here if you want to do that, or you can get away with the quickest way for deposits is straight into our Kiwi Bank account. So let's that's it from me. I think you probably want to.
Yeah, I'll just affirm what Sam's saying. We would so love to enjoy your support. I just want to make it again to acknowledge again Sam and his team who have travelled up here from Wellington at their own expense, unfunded, except by the generous support of people in rooms like this up and down the country. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement. To those who submitted your questions online, we're so grateful. To the candidates who came out, thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for bringing your korero, your truth, and making the best of the arena that we've created for you tonight. And as to conclude, as we began, at this time I'd like to invite Matua-Otūmoetai, if you wouldn't mind, to close us in the spirit of respect and integrity with the karakia. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā tātou, ko tēnei te mei kia koe tō katoa, ngā kaupaka haere o tēnei wāhanga, it's in the ballot, tēnei tāwea tēnei kaupapa, reira, mā koe whakakapi tō tātou nei pō whakahirehira mō tēnei pō, mīno i tātou. E te maanga i ngāne hira pono e te tokotori tapu. Whakahingi a mai mātou ki roto i tōko te waro noa. Pahere te anō mātou ki te rangi māre i ngā wā kato te maanga. Hei tōtuku mai, aene, ākini, ae. Thank you everyone.
And see you 7 p.m. on Thursday. So thank you, home, and all the best for the rest of the election period to you all.
Thank you.